So over the past couple of weeks, there's obviously been a lot of drama surrounding Nuxtaku, Shadman, and most recently Taiga. For those unaware, there were a lot of tweets dug up after Tyson was exposed from mrbeast, leading to people finding various posts of Nux interacting with Shadman, asking for a collab, and other friendly interactions. He obviously wasn't alone in this venture, but was picked out for a seemingly friendly interaction with Nux. Nux responded to this saying that he was never friends with him and that he DM'd him weird stuff, only wanting the collab in the first place to grill him, which seems pretty believable. Recently, however, a much more serious situation arose after his various interactions with a VTuber known as Taiga. Currently, Taiga is dealing with a ton of stuff, like getting his YouTube and Twitter taken down, along with being harassed and blackmailed on a regular basis. YouTube initially took his channel down, claiming that it was violating NSFW content, and then declined his initial appeal, saying that they will not be bringing it back. Shortly after, YouTube proceeded to bring it back without any word, and then once again take it down under the same initial premise, which makes absolutely no sense. It seems weird that Taiga was sent another email on the same day, saying that they re-reviewed it and that it was not under any violation of any terms, only to just nuke it 6 hours later. It almost seems like someone went back and manually took it down intentionally, or there was a flood of reports after seeing his channel come back up due to some false allegations, which I'll get into now. Essentially, there were various former members of Taiga's community that decided to make up a bunch of false allegations with fake evidence, accusing Taiga of various things, one of the more egregious being grooming. There was then a private investigation done on the matter, which completely exonerated Taiga. I'll leave a link to it down below if you want to take a look further into it for yourself, but it obviously ended up being pretty much nothing, and this was nearly 2 years ago. This leads into Nuxtaku's involvement to the situation, when he initially jumped into a call with Moist Critical on a collab they were doing, and claimed that he didn't know the whole story, but called Taiga a pedo anyway.
Is this HoloLive?
No, Taiga is an indie streamer who, I don't know the whole story, but Taiga was outed to be a pedo.
Oh, I don't know the whole story, but we want to talk about out of context, bro.
Underneath in the pinned comment, Nux made a response saying that he'd removed the part of the video, but by that point the additional damage had already been done. He also says that he once again didn't know the full story, and what he said shouldn't have been taken too seriously. Nux then apologizes and says he reached out to Taiga personally to apologize and get his side of the story, and intends to set the record straight in the future. Nux proceeds to not set the record straight in the future, and 6 months ago decided to briefly mention the situation on his podcast, with Mudaha talking about Mama Max.
I don't know. It's a past thing. Like there was the VTuber that was canceled for allegedly doing weird grooming type shit, and like I was in a video and I was talking about it, and I also alleged that he did that because close friends of mine told me, and I saw creepy conversations of him talking to kids and or talking about kids and liking little boys and stuff like that. Who knows if it's a joke, and like I alleged it also because a friend told me. And I regret it because he I don't know if it's true. He ended up coming back with some sort of response. I don't know, this guy Bungo Taiga, and I apologized to him privately that I even alleged something like that, and like because a friend told me, and I believed him.
Muda put out a good tweet last night.
That's the hardest part of this whole thing.
This has definitely been one of the worst responses I've seen come out of someone, especially after he said he was going to get the full story when he privately messaged Taiga back in 2022. In the previous clip, he's also piling on more, claiming that his friends had told him that it was true, and talks about a conversation that he'd seen, but hadn't actually gone and verified for himself. This just seems like a rookie mistake for someone who stakes themselves on covering VTuber drama and news. Instead of spending time to just look it over, he instead chose to ramble off on a podcast instead. Also, Nux's friends aren't staking their credibility on this at all, so he really shouldn't have been basing his opinion off them just because they said it's true. All this actually looks even worse when Taiga sees this clip and actually reads off what Nux sent to them as an apology back in 2022.
This guy Bungo Taiga, and I apologized to him privately that.
Let me be clear. Let me check exactly what he said. If I do a sequel with Charlie, I was planning on it. I'll try to clear the record more publicly. I'll also do more research. Again, I don't know right now, however, I'll try to rectify any extra damage I caused and hope you can accept my apology. This was in December 22nd, 2022. 2022! He said he was going to make a sequel video with Moist Critical. Video never came.
So to summarize, we've just seen Nux said he was going to go look through and rectify the situation, and proceeded to instead do nothing of the sort. This kind of brings us to Nux's most recent responses to the situation, which he made during some of his live streams over on Kick. In the first one, he goes off responding to a random comment that doesn't really reflect the situation at all.
Yeah, I just got a comment there. Let me show you. This is a wild one. All right, like. Funny seeing someone talking about something being bullshit while also being the person who deplatformed and destroyed someone's life over false allegations with no evidence and doing zero research.
Right, this is obviously talking about Bungo Taiga. I f***ed up with the Bungo Taiga thing. I am sorry for it, and I have apologized multiple times in private, in public, on my podcast. I have apologized multiple times because I said that, I don't know the full story, but he's a pedophile instead of an alleged pedophile after he left the internet for like 5 months. Then he came back. Okay? I made a mistake. This was 2 years ago. I f***ed up. And I took accountability for it multiple times. But for some reason, this guy, I know I'm going after one commenter, but I've gotten like thousands of comments about this. Like, you think I deplatformed him? People are blaming me for deplatforming him. He got banned for sexual content. But you're blaming me for deplatforming him? Destroyed his life? You think I destroyed his life when the video where I talked about apologizing for it has more views than the video where I originally mentioned it, like, as a throwaway sentence? Over false allegations? I didn't make any allegations. I said what someone else said, and I was wrong to do that. But, like, there are so many comments like this everywhere. Like, you can never trust YouTube commenters.
Obviously, he didn't deplatform Taiga, but just piled more fuel onto the fire. It doesn't make sense why he'd just pick out a random comment to respond to instead of Taiga themselves, but with how he's handled everything so far, it doesn't surprise me at all. There's also a nearly hour-long clip over on Taiga's fan channel, which goes into way better detail and points out a lot of Nux's continuous lies about the situation, which I'll also have linked down below in the description.
Apparently Bungo Taiga on his streams for like the last year has been saying that I never apologized for wronging him, and
You guys have watched my past streams, right? So that's lie number one.
I don't know, this guy Bungo Taiga, and I apologized to him privately that...
Let me be clear. Let me check exactly what he said. So, yeah, he said, hey, man, I saw some clips of your stream floating around. You asked me to reach out, so here I am. To be frank, I saw a lot of leaked DMs and stuff months ago about you, so I'm hesitant to give you the benefit of the doubt. But that said, I don't want to spread misinformation about you either, despite my disclaimers. I apologize if that's what I ended up doing. I apologize if that's what I ended up doing. And then I said, you know, you saw some leaked DMs of me grooming someone? Because, like, where's that? And then blah, blah, blah. I say a bunch of shit. And then he's like, this guy sounds like bad news. And I'm sorry you and others had to deal with him. The guy he's saying sounds like bad news is literally my stalker who he said I groomed. Who he said I groomed. The stalker who he said I groomed. I never said he didn't apologize. I explicitly gave the method to which he did apologize, which was a private apology in DMs. The problem with that, Nux, okay? The problem with that is that you slandered me to over 200, well, I think the video has over 350,000 views now. 350,000 people plus Moist Critical, right? So that's lie number one. Obviously, I never said you didn't apologize. I don't know, like, where are you getting this from? Every single video, I literally outline the method on which you apologized and how it was lackluster for the damage you've caused me.
In Nux's most recent video over on his second channel, he made a video called Awful Situation with Taiga in the thumbnail. This would have been a good chance to make a good response, but instead he makes a short bad faith segment at the very end that lasts for about 4 minutes, where he's still getting basic details wrong, claiming that Taiga had hired the private investigator for one.
Taiga was exonerated of the grooming allegations by a private eye that he hired, and I made a huge f*** up.
He did apologize once again, but it doesn't really come off as particularly meaningful, and it's as if he's just trying to say it for the sake of it, so he can later bring up how much he's apologized. He also talks about his response that happened in the podcast, claiming it was 10 minutes in he mentioned it, when it was actually 20.
I also apologized again publicly on our podcast in the first 10 minutes of an episode, which, by the way, got way more views than the video where I originally peddled the false allegation.
This just seems like he's trying to frame it favorably, as if he'd included it at the peak of the viewership for that video, when he clearly hadn't. Overall, it's looking pretty bad for Nux here, and so far all of his responses to this have been pretty awful, and I can't say I'm particularly hopeful that things will get much better from here. I do hope Taiga manages to get their socials back and make a return as soon as possible. I can't imagine the stress they're dealing with having to sort all this, but hopefully things can get back to normal for them as soon as possible. Anyway, that's all I wanted to cover in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts on the situation and Nux's responses down below in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.